I'm still in Missouri. Whoa, what's that car doing there? Still in Missouri, but just a couple of minutes. Across the Missouri River. Over this bridge, this is a new bridge. We've been over this one before. And they've torn down the old one, just to the right there. Anyhow, crossing the Missouri River into Atchison. And look to the right, and I can see my college. So here I am, coming into Atchison, Kansas after 50 years. My goodness. Wow. This is a still foundry I used to work at. Now they're having a Amelia Earhart Festival.
Turn right on South 6th Street, then turn left.
Amelia Earhart Festival. She was born here, so it's a big deal here. Okay, I've got to take a right on 6th here, so we're going to be
turn right on South 6th Street,
walking
then
off.
turn left.
I haven't checked into my hotel yet, but it's right across the street from Mount St. Scholastica, the old girls' college. And this is the student union where I spent probably way too much time. Come over here in the evening after studying. Come into the student union there. And used to be a dormitory right here. So I'd pull up right here in the park, and girls that I knew in the dormitory would come out and greet me. It was rather nice. And I'd walk right through this door. There I am in the reflection, I think. Right through this door. And straight ahead there is a snack bar. Looks like it still is. But I knew the woman who ran it pretty well. She liked me a lot. She was always very nice to me. And I'd get whatever I was going to get and come right through this door. And it was right in this room. They had a television set, and this is where I was the night that the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan Show. The place was packed, everybody wanting to see the Beatles. And this was the essentially the student union. And this is where it come, and they had there was a Pepsi machine right across the way there, and I always grab myself a Pepsi. And always lots of girls here. And I knew most of them. And some real good times in this room, I'll tell you. This is the back of the house that I lived in with Miss Cahill. Right down there where that door is kind of ajar is how we used to get into our little dingy basement apartment. But this is the house. Miss Cahill lived on the main floor. And she had a renter on the third floor, Joe Geist, Mr. Geist, who was a lay teacher at the college, taught English. And Joe Geist, I used to sit on this front porch when the weather got nice and read and study. Mr. Geist, Joe Geist, it is 822 3rd Street, Atchison, Kansas. Joe Geist introduced me to two things that I was always grateful for. First of all, he introduced me to Scotch. I'd never, up until then, I didn't drink at all, anything, didn't care to. But he had Dawn and me up one evening and fixed us drinks. and I took a sip of it. I just never liked liquor before, but I took a sip of whatever it was just to be polite. And I liked it. And I said, holy cow, what is that stuff? And he said, it's scotch. And that's all I would ever drink after that. But he also had a brand new LP. That was when LPs were had just come out, and stereo and all that. And he had a pretty nice system there. And he wanted us to hear this new singer, young woman singer, who he just thought was incredible. So we listened to it as we drank our scotch, and she was incredible. And he showed us the album cover, and it was Barbra Streisand. First I'd ever heard of her. And right here is Miss Cahill was an old maid. Well, that's what we used to call them, an old maid. Don't know what her story was, but she never got married. Had never been married. There was a woman that lived here who was her good friend. And every afternoon, 4 o'clock, her friend, I can't remember her name, would come over and have a drink with Amy. And I think they used to get drunk. And then Amy, every once in a while, would have a social and have her friends over. And she'd always fix some really nice hors d'oeuvres. And anything that was left over, Don and I got. But, she thought the world of us. Our rent was $10 a week for the two of us. Hard to believe, but yeah, we each gave her our $5 every week. Oh my. And then there's a elementary school there, which sits right on the corner. Okay, so this is Mound and 10th, and where that car is going up there, if it can be seen. And right at the end of that street, and 2nd is St. Joseph Hall, where Duffy and I roomed. And that's where I'm going next. Yeah, this is where I came from. It's actually 2nd Street, and that's Division. And right on the corner is St. Benedict's Church. Now, this is a parish church. Doesn't have anything to do with the college. I don't think it ever did. That building beyond the tree there, classroom building, the cafeteria was in there. That's where the chemistry and biology labs were. It's a football field. That's where they played the homecoming game. They have a big homecoming celebration, floats and everything. It was kind of cheesy, but fine. This is at St. Joseph Hall, dormitory where Duffy and I stayed. Pretty sure we were on that 3rd floor, and I think we were the 2nd window to the right on the 3rd floor. It's an old dormitory. And that building has got to be 150 years old, maybe. It's amazing that it's still standing. But statue of St. Joseph out in front. I doubt that I'm going to be able to get in there. But so there it is, Duffy. Statue of St. Joseph. And that field is looking much better than it did back in our day. You look up onto the hill where the student union was. Looks like it's a new student union. We called it the Raven's Roost. Raven was our mascot. And that was a classroom building in the distance there. And right behind the church, St. Benedict's Church, was a dormitory. It's still there. It's called Freshman Hall. That's where almost all of the freshmen stayed there. And just a handful of us stayed in St. Joseph's, along with some upperclassmen. So, yeah, made some good friends there. Made some good friends, had some good times. Oh, it's so hard to imagine that it's 50 years ago. Here we have the inside of St. Benedict's Church. I don't have any real memory of this, although And there's the torture chamber and places to get your splash of holy water. It's looking pretty clean. Yeah, so I used to, of course, along the walls, what they called Stations of the Cross, for those of you who are not Catholic or didn't have a Catholic background upbringing. Those are pretty impressive stations. Pretty impressive church altogether. But I did used to come over here in the evenings sometimes, just where it was quiet. And I could come in here and kneel down, and I actually did that. Would kneel down and pray for strength. And pray that my homesickness and my anxiety would go away. I suffered from the worst kind of anxiety because of the pressure I put on myself, basically. Anyhow, yeah, there's a story here too. Our dorm prefect, Father Conrad, who was a PhD in chemistry from Notre Dame, organic chemist. He taught chemistry and organic chemistry and physical chemistry and inorganic chemistry. See, that's something I never noticed before. I think he was concerned about me. And one night I was in here on my knees and I felt a tap on my shoulder, and it was him. And he asked me to come to his office after I left. And for whatever reason I didn't. Probably a big mistake. But anyhow, wow, 50 years. Can't believe it. Okay, the parish church from a different angle. This is 2nd Street. Just wanted to get a some kind of a shot of the old Freshman Hall, which is in pretty good shape. It's better shape than St. Joseph's, that's for sure. It's toughy. Look how they're living today. That's all student housing. And it's educational now. Mount St. Scholastica merged with St. Benedict's. It's now Benedictine College. That's why they tore all the old dorms down over at Mount St. Scholastica. It's not a college anymore. It's just for the nuns. The old administration building there was torn down, which is a shame, because it's quite a nice piece of architecture. Anyway, and there's the grade school, St. Benedict's grade school. So this is the old student center, the Raven's Roost, now called the Haverty Center. And it's also where the basketball floor was up here in here, and it was also served as there was a theater up in there, and that's where in 1963 my quartet and I, piano-based drums and tenor saxophone, won the annual talent contest. And right over there in the more modern building, St. Augustine Hall, and Duffy and I moved into there as sophomores, and that's a new building. Now you'll see if it's open. Well, this is the old student union. It's called the Raven Roost. It is now the Haverty Center. There was a basketball floor was on, basketball court was on this 2nd floor. There's a theater there too. That's where my jazz quartet, piano, bass, drums, tenor saxophone, won the 1963 annual talent contest. Each got 10 bucks. What a deal. And that's old St. Augustine's Hall. It was actually a new building back then. And that's where Duffy and I moved when we were sophomores. Well, I let myself in, and they still call it the Raven's Roost. What do you know? But it looks a lot different now from, a lot different from what it was then. A lot different. Hi. Wouldn't recognize it. Wouldn't begin to recognize it. A lot nicer than it was back then, though. We got a nice pool table. What a deal. It'd be fun to come here. We can come here when there are classes. I may come back tomorrow. Maybe they're having summer classes. I don't know. So there's the story of the Haverty Center, the Raven Roost. I'm shaky from, I'm hungry, and I'm shaky from all my coffee. And here I am at the Abbey on the hill, overlooking the campus. I'll get over there in a minute and see what I can see, but there's a library across the street there. It's a building that's been there for a while, but I'm not sure what it is, the one clear at the end there. From a different angle, I just talked to a very nice couple who thought maybe they were graduates. They look a little older, and from Wisconsin, according to the license plates. Turns out that they're just visiting because they come from here, but they didn't go to school here. So you kind of see the slope. The Abbey's right on the top of the hill. Right behind it is the Missouri River. Let's see if I can get around there. And right now I'm going to see if I can get into the Abbey. Well, the Abbey's open, but it's 7 o'clock right now. It's a little dark. Let me get up there a little closer. There's some monks in here, so I want to be kind of quiet. But there's part of the organ. There's another part of the organ. And at the end, there's another part of the organ. 1900 pipes in that pipe organ. They do have. Oh, good. There. Hi.